Senator Albright.
Rocky.
Senator Redinez.
Here.
President Cronin. Vice President Omar. All right, we have a full agenda on the plate for us today, so we're going to get right into it, starting with the budget season overview with our advisor, John Bulcock.
I'm going to pass around 2 different handouts. Please take one of each.
As a reminder to all presenters, presentation time is limited to 10 minutes.
Okay. I don't anticipate this taking long. This is going to be dense, okay? So stop me along the way if you've got questions, okay? Don't feel bad about it. And Mr. Speaker, if I may ask for permission just to take questions as they come up rather than, okay?
Absolutely.
I want to, the next couple of weeks are going to be critical, as have been the past couple of weeks regarding our budget season. There's a lot of stuff that you're going to see that some of it will make sense to you, especially if you've seen it before. Others of you will be like, oh my God, they have too many numbers. I'm a comm studies person, okay? So just want to go through this and try to explain in some plain language what we're going to be seeing over the next few weeks. So I'm going to start by going through some of the fees. I'm going to explain the 2 documents that you've got coming around the table. There are 2 charts that we will, that I'll help produce, Teresa has to help produce them to start with, and then we'll finalize them at the budget hearing. So to start with, the process itself. So student fee funded departments and functional areas, we start working in late fall to put together budgets to present to whichever body that we end up presenting to. So if we are a student activity fee funded department, this big chart is the student activity fee budget, okay? This is the budget that is recommended by the Student Allocations Committee. You're going to see that from Chairman Brett Marshall today, okay? And it was the budget that was shared with you last week as well. So this is the student activity fee budget. We present to SAC to make our request, and SAC makes our recommendation, okay? Other departments or other big budget items that you deal with, but which are also considered student fees, are the presentations you've been seeing so far. Okay, you've already seen the student health services fee presentation, and you've seen technology fee presentation. Okay, and then today you're going to see the Intercollegiate Athletics fee presentation, and you're going to see the student union fee presentation. Okay, so those are the other big student fee presentations that come directly to Senate rather than going through the Student Allocations Committee. Okay. Let's see here. From there, what happens basically is the student government will take a look at those fee requests and make a recommendation. Okay. Student government's recommendation goes to Dr. Jones for endorsement, and then they go to President Davenport for approval, and then they officially get signed off on by the Mid-State Board of Trustees. Okay. So that's kind of the process, really, where it goes. It goes from the department to either SAC or straight to student government, and then it goes to Dr. Jones, and then the president, and then the board of trustees for approval. Okay? So we're pretty early in that process still. Any questions about that process? For 2 fees in particular during that process, if the recommended amount represents an increase of more than 2%, it has to go to a vote of the student body. Can anybody tell me what those 2 fees are? Director Weisman, yes.
Intercollegiate Athletics
is one of them, yep. And the other one?
Student activity fee.
Student activity fee, okay? Those 2 fees, if the recommended amount represents a more than 2% increase, they have to go to a vote of the entire student body, okay? I'll talk about that again here. So again, the different fees you're dealing with, I'm going to go through each of these fairly quickly. The student activity fee, it provides partial operating support to a lot of different departments. And those different departments and functional areas are listed on this spreadsheet for you. Okay? They are requested by the department, recommended by the Student Allocation Committee. They've spent hours doing this, looking at these budgets for you. They're reviewed, and you can possibly change them during the budget hearing on the 13th. The student government can do that. And then once you make your recommendation, your final recommendation, if it requires a vote, we'll put it up for a referendum vote of the student body. If it doesn't require a vote, we'll send it straight on to Dr. Jones. And then, like I said, it gets approved by President Davenport and goes on to the Board of Trustees. Okay? This fee is assessed on a per credit hour basis. And then just like tuition is banded at 12 hours, this fee is also banded at 12 hours. Okay? Does everybody understand and understand what tuition being banded means? Okay? Okay, that's a phrase that sometimes people don't understand. But banded means that you take whatever it is for 12 credit hours and it's going to apply the same through 15 credit hours. Okay? There is a min-state mandated cap of $112.50 per credit hour, or excuse me, per semester, which if you look at the 2019 fee that was proposed and approved last year, we're still well short of that at right around $100, $100.32 a semester. We're paying. Okay? Any questions about the student activity fee? This is the one that we'll spend hours on March 13th. Okay? Any questions about this one? Okay? Next one, intercollegiate athletics fee. It partially funds intercollegiate athletics fee. Intercollegiate athletics. The word "partially" is there intentionally because a lot of the departments that are funded by the student activity fee, and then athletics also have different revenue sources, revenue streams. Okay. In the end, we all kind of look at it as the same pot of money. Okay. When it comes to having to pay for stuff, oftentimes we look at our overall budget and go, okay, that's how much we have and how much we spend. Okay. The budget for intercollegiate athletics is developed by athletics staff in conjunction with the Athletic Fee Advisory Committee. Okay, they present it to you. At the meeting on the 13th, you will also take a look at this budget and make a recommendation. It may be the same one that Director Feisman presents today, or it may be modified by this group as well. And then again, it goes to Dr. Jones and then to President Davenport. And it is also banded just like tuition. Okay? The cap from the MnSCU board on this one, Min-State board, is $55 a semester. Okay? And where were we this year with that fee?
$386 per credit hour.
Huh?
$386 per creded hour.
And do you know what that was at the banded rate? It wasn't quite 55, was it?
No, it wasn't. I was a comp studies major, not a math major.
So $386 a credit
Well
hour.
below
So,
$55.
okay, it was below the $55 mark. Okay, so that's the intercollegiate athletics fee, and the other one that is required to pass a vote of the student body if the recommended increase is more than 2%.
4632.
46.32. So almost 20% below the cap. Okay. Any questions about the intercollegiate athletics fee? Okay. Student health services fee, again, partially support the operation of student health services. It is developed and presented by student health services staff in conjunction with the student health fee advisory committee. You'll notice that most of these fees have student consultation built in from the very beginning. Okay, and that's very intentional. You have the ability to revise this again. Okay, again, we will do that the week after the big budget hearing. So on March 20th is when we will look at this fee, and you'll make your recommendation on that one. And it again goes to Dr. Jones and Dr. Davenport. Okay, it also is capped at $75 a semester and banded. Okay, that cap is a raised cap this year. It's a new cap. It was lower, but yet I believe Wendy's came in flat on that request as well. Okay. And this one is not required to go before a vote of the student body. Regardless of where its recommended increase is, if there is a recommended increase, this one is not subject to a vote of the student body. Okay, any questions about this one? The student union fee, again, partially provides operational support for the student union. It's developed and proposed by CSU staff in consultation with the CSU board, which is one of the active student boards that there are student appointees on. And it follows the same process, okay, presented directly to student government, deliberated by y'all on the 20th, and then your recommendation is forwarded to Dr. Jones as well. Okay, there is no cap, no system mandated cap on the CSU fee, on the student union fee. And again, this one is not subject to a vote of the student body if it sees an increase. Yes?
Are these what they're requesting this year?
No, this document, this little chart that you've got in front of you was from last year. Okay, it shows what fiscal year 18 was, okay, and then what fiscal 19 the recommendation was. Okay, and I'll go back to what fiscal year means in a minute. Yes, down there, yes.
Yeah, so I guess you sent the one that 2021, right? 19 and 2020 in the email.
That's the student activity fee recommendation that you have.
No, like in email you sent 19, 20, but here we got 18 and 19.
Correct. This is a sample. The fiscal year 19 to fiscal year 20 that hasn't been prepared yet. This chart has not been prepared yet. Okay. Any questions about the student union fee? The technology fee, again, partially funds the operations and services provided by IT Solutions. That fee recommendation is developed and proposed by staff in conjunction with an advisory committee. Again, they have a student advisory committee that helps with that recommendation. And it's the same process, okay? This one's not subject to a vote of the student body if you recommend more than a 2% increase. The cap is $12 per credit and would be banded at $144 a semester. Okay? Any questions about the IT or the technology fee? This helps pay for everything from your Microsoft 365 that you get, all that kind of good stuff. So a lot of the stuff that IT does is all supported by this fee. But again, there are other sources from general fund revenue and that kind of stuff.
Senator Moeen.
Yes, so how it would be increased? Like it can go up to $144, right?
Yes, so they are, this is a new cap. So the previous cap was $10 a credit hour, meaning that the max would have been $120 a semester. Okay, and so I've seen the request that's going to come forward to you formally from IT, and it will represent a slight increase, but still not going up to that $12 cap. Okay.
So I'm kind of confused. It's still like more than 144. Like it can be.
That's because it's banded. Okay, so if they were to request $12 a credit hour, say you're taking 15 credit hours. Okay, what's 12 times 15? I don't know. 180? 180?
180.
Yep. Okay. So, but because we banned it at 12 hours, you're only going to get charged for 12 hours even if you're taking 15, right? Okay, that's why that cap is 144. Okay, 12 times 12. Okay. Okay. I can do simple math up here. Okay. Any questions about this technology fee? Okay, this next one is a little bit of an odd duck, okay? Because we don't spend much time talking about this one each year. There's the Campus Rec Outdoor Facility fee that provides funding for debt service on a project that was approved about 10 years ago, okay? There was some construction that was done for some outdoor fields, lighting, all that kind of good stuff. And right now, students are paying $2.50 a credit hour to support the existing outdoor rec facilities. There's the outdoor climbing wall, the fitness trail, that kind of stuff. And there was an agreement that this would take 20 years to pay off. Okay, and so it's not really one that's negotiated. The stuff that Todd might fill in a little bit more. It's more of a for-your information that hey, we're almost 10 years into this now. We got about another 10 years left to go on this one before we have to look at it again and see because there are going to be operational expenses that come later. Okay, so this is not ever revised, but it shows up as part of the student fee package. Okay, so that's one that we will just probably keep the same for the next 10 years. The new one that you're going to see, that again probably will be, it's not going to be one of those that changes during its term, is the seasonal sports and recreational fee. This will be appearing on people's bills the first time this coming fall semester, and that's the one that was approved via the referendum in November by the student body. It's going to be assessed at 83 cents a credit hour and then capped at $10 per semester. Okay, so that's a brand new fee again. In future Senates, it will be an FYI thing where they're told, hey, by the way, just remember this. We've agreed to this for 10 years, and so it won't be revised during that 10-year period. Okay. So those are the different things that we call student fees. That's different from tuition. tuition is set by it's set by the Minnesota State Board of Trustees officially, okay? And depending on where we are in the state budget cycle, we may or may not be able to adjust tuition. We don't know where that's going to come into play yet for the next couple of years, okay? But tuition is separate from fees. The things I've just talked about are all student fees that every student pays, with the exception of, and this is brand new, some of the students who are taking MSU classes, but only at the Normandale campus. Okay? So these are fees paid by all MSU students.
About 30 seconds left on the clock.
Okay. So state law, we talked about the 2% vote. The budget hearing, just the points that I want to make. Departments that are satisfied with what has been recommended by SAC generally don't come to the budget hearing. Okay? They're like, either they got what they requested, or if they were recommended a little bit less than what they requested, they're like, it's not the end of the world, I can live with that. Okay? So they will not plan to be at the meeting on the 13th unless, for some reason, somebody around this table has a compelling reason to ask them to be there. Okay? They want to ask them some more specific, in-depth questions. Okay? That being said, if you've got a basic question such as, what does your department do? Or what do you use your money for? They've already provided that information for you via their requests, which you could view in the office and which was shared electronically with you. Okay? So that budget hearing is not the place to be asking that simple of a question. Okay? We want to encourage you to do your homework and be well informed before that budget hearing so that those departments don't come in to answer questions that they've already provided answers to. Okay, so we want you to be well informed, to do your homework, and to be prepared for those. So, but that being said, if you have legitimate questions and you're considering revising somebody's recommendation or something like that, then you can ask them to be there. And from a perspective of being somebody who is funded by this, I can tell you one of the things, if you're asked to be there, you're put in a little bit of defensive mode. Okay, it might be helpful to give somebody a heads up as to what your questions might be. Okay, because you're going, oh, I thought my budget request was pretty simple and straightforward, and there's nothing out of the ordinary about it. So people, they might be a little antsy if they're asked to be there. Okay. Let's see here. I mentioned in here, typically student government, unless they provide notice to the department, typically they don't make a lot of adjustments on the recommendations. Any department that got a recommendation that they do want to appeal will let Teresa know, and the speaker will have notice of that, and he will, hopefully, it's common courtesy to consider those recommendations at the beginning of the meeting so that people aren't sitting around while we're still here at 11 o'clock at night. Okay? And so hopefully we'll see that happen. Any other points? I don't think there are any other points on that. And then just some things to keep in mind about the process that we've done. Sometimes people look at departments' recommendations and they're like, they're just trying to make profit. None of these departments are in the business of making money. Okay? Every bit of money that they generate goes to support the department and or the services they provide for students. Okay? So nobody's in it to make a profit. And there's been some misunderstanding about that before. Again, I mentioned if your question is as a basic one, such as what do you spend your money on or what does your department actually do your homework ahead of time and get those questions answered on your own, okay? That information's been provided. It's a fairly big deal. We're asked to be here as a department to appear before the group next week. I'm going to go to bat for the Student Allocations Committee a little bit here. They've done more than 15 hours of work hearing these presentations, considering these recommendations for you. They've done a lot of legwork to put together that budget, and they're not trying to hike everybody's fees a lot. They're not trying to increase revenue at the university. They're students too, so they're trying to make responsible, balanced decisions that benefit students via the services that are provided via those departments. So you have the ability to make recommendations and to modify a recommendation, but that Student Allocation Committee is tasked with making some of those tough decisions for you. So as much as you're able, think about the work that's already gone into it. Yeah, that's a piece of advice. Also, the last bullet point on there, some people don't realize this, but for every penny that student activity fee is adjusted, it's $3,059 is what we're talking about, okay? So when you're looking at the budget lines next week or throughout the course of the time that you're considering it, if you're looking at somebody's budget going, I want to cut $200 there, okay? Cutting $200 from somebody's budget cuts their budget, but it does not make a difference in the student fee. That makes sense? Okay, to make a difference of a penny in that student fee, you're looking at $3,059 is what you're looking at, okay? So sometimes we get into some discussions and people are like, I think that's a couple $100 too much, let's reduce by a couple $100. Pick your battles is one of the pieces of advice I give you. Okay, if you're looking at a couple $100 here or there, you're not going to put a dent in that student activity fee. Okay, so thinking about perspective when it comes to how much of a difference a couple $100 a week might make in the actual student fee. Any questions about that? Does it make sense? Okay, you got a busy couple weeks, going to spend a lot of time on it. Piece of advice, okay, think about the big picture, be prepared, okay, and don't be afraid to reach out to any of the presenters who've talked budgets with you ahead of that fee hearing, okay? They're happy to help you be better informed, okay? And when you can explain to your fellow senators what's going on, that makes a difference, okay? If you've got any questions, feel free to ask me too. I can go through stuff if I use any language that's confusing, but want to help you with this process as much as I can.
Thank you for your presentation. So we went a bit over time on that one. We'll move right into the CSU fee presentation with Senators Christensen and Andrade Lara. I didn't do that.
Alrighty, hello student government. We are here to present the CSU budget presentation for the fiscal year of 2020. My name is Emily Christensen, and as some of you may know, I am the chairwoman for the CSU board.
My name is Oscar Andrade Lara, and I am the vice chair for the CSU board.
Alrighty, so right off the bat, we just kind of wanted to share the board members that we have joining along with us. Some of them may look familiar around the table, but these are the people who helped us.
So we're going to start off with talking about some units within the CSU. One of them being administration and their salaries, the bullpen, marketing, facilities, which deals with our offices, operations, deals with utilities, and then technical services. Some changes you'll see for the budget of fiscal year 2020 is the total staff salary plus fringe. There is a decrease of 2.76%. That is due to the scheduling office being moved from the CSU's administration to the university's administration. There is also an increase in the total student help. That is a 0.9% increase. That is due to minimum wage going up. And the total non-salary, excluding student help, is less than 1% decrease. The total of all expenses will be a 1.5% decrease. This pie graph will show you the self-generated revenue plan. And I'm sure you can't see that because I can't either. So just to read you off the numbers, rent will be 51.63%. Commissions is a 27.74%. Gains and rec is 7.61%. Other revenue is 7.3%, and interest is 5.72%.
Alrighty, so our overall budget revenue is going to be about $4,195,664, and what that includes, as you can see there, is the student fees, self-generated revenues, rental income, and interest on income. And then you go down to the expenses, and you'll notice that it's actually the same number, so $4,195,664. $664. And now that's including salaries, revenue fund expenses, bond payment, and utilities.
So this table will show you the trends in student fees. From fiscal year 2017 to 2018, there was a 0.6% increase. From fiscal year 18 to 19, there was a 0.7% increase. And from fiscal year 19 to 20, we're happy to announce that it'll be a 1.2% decrease, which is a total of 13 cents per credit.
Alrighty, so yeah, kind of what Oscar just mentioned right there. So our recommendation is the 1.2% decrease from the fiscal year. That means that 1099 would then go to 1086. We also broke it down there below, the 24 credits. That's for a full school year. So we can see fiscal year 2019, it would have totaled out to be $263.76. If the recommendation is passed, it will then decrease to $260.64 per year. Alrighty, and those of you who are not in student government last year, this was a motion that was passed, and it is the Student Union Operating Reserve Revenue Fund. So what this is showing the past 5 years of what we've had in the reserve fund. And as you can see in there, we are spending less than what was projected. We yield to any questions.
Floor is open for questions.
Mark is going to be passing you around some of the more in-depth budget numbers for you as well.
Any questions? Will those get passed around? All right, seeing none, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
We'll now move into the athletics fee presentation with Kevin Beisman.
What did you get for here? A ver, mientras yo voy viendo.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for hearing us out on the athletic fee proposal. First, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Coley Reese, and I'm a graduate assistant. This is Rachel Schumacher, part of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. And also on this committee was Colby O'Brien, Cameron Crosser, and your own Logan Dalk. And then, as well as with the athletic department, Kevin Beisman and Tim Marshall.
So like Coley said, I'm Rachel, and so you guys all have a handout in front of you. It's called the MAVRIK Athletics Did You Know? So if you guys just want to take a brief minute to look through that, we don't have time to go through all of it. But what I think you guys will notice is that MAVRIK Athletics really pushes the motto of building champions. You know, that's our motto, as I said, and this is not only competitively, but in the classroom and the community as well. You'll see that we participate in over 4,000 hours of community service, and then we consistently remain above a 3.2 GPA. And then also on the bottom of the slide on the screens, you'll see, we just kind of wanted to point out, I think there's a misconception that all student athletes are fully funded, they're all on full rides, they don't pay for any of their education. When in reality, the average MAVRIK student athlete funds about 70% of their own educational costs.
Why MAVRIK Athletics is deserving of your student fee support? Athletics sustains 900 student participation opportunities, over 525 student athletes through 20 sports programs, and more than 375 student support opportunities with MAVRIK machine, cheer, dance, support staff, trainers, and marketing interns, and more than 25,000 student engagement opportunities. As President Davenport likes to call it, is the window to the university. It's a point of pride and a rallying point, and the more success we have on the field or on the court, the more media coverage we're going to get, which is going to result in more exposure for the university in Mankato, but also through the state of Minnesota and nationally.
So let's compare the numbers. You're going to see the facts on the slide, as well as if you want to flip to page 4 of your handout. So you'll see there MSU compared to the average, MSU compared to the high, and just on that student fee, you'll see that we are the only school under $4. And we also do want to point out that we're trying to give you an apples to apples comparison here. So we understand we're the largest institution, so we do have the most credit fee-based hours, but we also do have the most athletic teams, and that being 20, as she said earlier.
So breaking down the fee support into an equation, we're hoping for a slight rise in the fee multiplied by a slight drop in enrollment, which equals a dip in support. If you refer to page 3 in your packet, you can see that the fee support is essentially flatlined. Due to inflation with our travel, lodging, and food, this slight increase is really just going to help us do what we're already doing.
Our fair share. So we understand, and we're so thankful for the student fees that support us, that $1.2 million that we're getting, and that's about 22% of our budget. And so all of that goes to the student experience. It's all going to students, and then we also want to point out that the other 78% of our budget is funded by other things like ticket sales, corporate partnerships, as well as fundraising. And then we consider you guys donors, and we respect you like that, and that's why we want to point out that 22%, the shareholder report that we kind of brought to you is that did you know packet. That's your return on investment, is that we are building championships on the court, off the court, in the classroom, in the community.
We are proposing a 2% increase. We understand the threshold is 2%. But we are acknowledging that we just went to a referendum for the sports dome, and we're very appreciative to that. And we also understand the budget situation for a lot of students, and we just don't feel that this is a time that we should push that. It's not that we don't need more support due to the slight drop in enrollment, but we're able to make ends meet by just keeping it at the status quo. We don't expect a full 2% because of that drop in enrollment, so it's going to be more of a 0.72% net increase.
And so, as Coley said, when is a 2% increase not a 2% increase? And that's just the basic math equation she referred to earlier. And that's when one side of the multiplier dips approximately 1.32% for that enrollment decline. And that means we're coming out on the other side with a less than 1% increase. And so this is meaning less than $10,000 altogether. And really, as she said earlier, this is just going to keep us afloat, keep our heads above water.
As Rachel mentioned, it's less than $10,000, which equates to less than $17 per student athlete. And this money would be used for travel, lodging, and just making ends meet.
So we just want to thank you guys for taking your time to listen to us today. We hope that we gave you some useful information that you can use to make your decision. If anyone has any questions, we'll sure and try and answer that.
Floor is open for questions. President Cronin.
So the increase you're asking for is 2%? So I'm just confused where on here it says that, because what I was looking at, it says the percentage change is 0.72%.
So that's when that 2% isn't 2%. So that's minus the 1.32% expected decrease in enrollment.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
sorry, we could have maybe been a little bit more clear about that.
okay.
Does that make sense though? Do you want me to go through it again?
So just to, my clarifying question, so it is a 2% increase, but with your expected anticipated decrease in enrollment, the money you would get from different from this year would actually only be a 0.72% increase?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further questions? Senator Erickson.
So just to clarify, you're proposing 3.94 per credit hour? $3.94?
Yes. 8 cents more.
Seeing no additional questions? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
We'll now move into the campus rec facility fee presentation from Todd Pinkston.
So Sam Steiger's going to pull a little PowerPoint up. But again, my name is Todd Pinkston, Director of Campus Recreation. This is going to be quick. As John alluded to, the campus rec facility, we basically we're into it for 10 years, but we're into it for 10 years more. And it's a set fee, so it's really not a negotiable thing. But why the fee 10 years ago? In fact, went to an all-student referendum in 2007, got voted down by 186 votes. So in spring of 2008, in fact, it was February 2008, so 11 years ago, at this meeting, a motion was made by one of the senators at the time. We cut the proposal down in half from 14 million to 7 million because there was a need because of safety of our outdoor rec fields and other things, and it got approved at this meeting, and that was capped at $30 per semester, banded $2.50 per credit hour, banded at 12 credits. So that's but again, we were looking for safe, quality fields because we didn't have it at the time. Also, restrooms, storage, didn't have any of those things. So when we talk about the outdoor fields, we talk about the play fields for rugby, lacrosse, soccer, ultimate frisbee. Talk about the outdoor track, fitness trail. Technically, the ropes course in Rockwell are not part of that. They were part of another fee and another proposal. But yeah, that's basically the fee. Location on the south side of campus, south of the tennis courts. I'm sure a lot of you utilize those spaces, and we appreciate that. The fee shows up on your tuition and fee bill, called the Campus Rec Facility Fee, and I've already basically talked about this slide. It'll sunset in fiscal year 29, but we will have to revisit that fee because also a part of that fee, once the bonds are paid back, the construction costs, there will still be annual operations and maintenance there. So, but revenue. Taking approximately $820,000 a year in student fees. We earn somewhere in the neighborhood of $7,000 per interest per year, but that fluctuates as well. We've already talked about $250 per credit hour, banded at 12. Debt service on approximately $7 million. We pay over $503,000 per year. That's just on the construction on those bonds. There's an assessment fee each year, about $14,000. We pay to Minnesota State Systems Office. Operations and maintenance, that would mean staff and fuel and utilities and water and fertilizer and sand and overseeding, those types of things. Approximately $135,000 a year for that. And then we've got a renewal and replacement fund because when it comes time to renew or replace the track, it's going to be about $1 million cost. So we're setting aside monies each year to replace that. We've already replaced lawnmowers and bought other things as they wear down over the course of the last 10 years. So we save $70,000 or more every year The one thing that was nice in the original proposal, when the bonds were sold, the interest rate came in lower than what we expected. And Vice President Strachey even asked the question of the systems office, hey, should we charge a lower fee? And they said, no, our proposal, the way it stands, has to charge that $2.50 per credit hour. So we're doing well in that area. And then we have operating reserves, 3 months minimum, but Vice President Strachey is conservative with this number. Let's say enrollment declines, things like that, we still need to pay the bills, right? So we have an operating reserve of $400,000. And that's about it. It's as simple as that, I guess. Are there questions?
Floor is open for questions. Seeing none, thank you for your presentation. We now have an MSU reporter update from David Bessie.
We're going to excuse ourselves. We've got a conference basketball tournament game to administer. Come over and see the Mavericks at 6 o'clock in the postseason.
I do not see our friend David Bessie with us today, so we'll move right into the SAC budget for Brett Marshall. Do we have our SAC chair, Brett Marshall, with us today? We don't have David Bessie with us, so we'll move into your presentation instead. Did the campus facility? The numbers we sent in the email, were they not? Started. Oh my God.
I'm just like pushing back and forth.
And as was mentioned earlier, Senators, please refer to the email that we sent out last week with this year's numbers for this presentation, this budget.
Nate, we also have a handout after he's done with his presentation in writing too of the whole thing.
Excellent.
All right, well, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Brett Marshall. I am the chair of the Student Allocations Committee. My vice chair, Avery, had to take a test, so he's unable to make it, so it will just be me today. I'll start just by kind of giving an overview of the Student Allocations Committee. We have 8 members, 3 of which are senators, and 1 of which is your vice president. We are responsible for hearing and making recommendations regarding RSO programming, travel, and funding requests, which I'm sure you're quite familiar with by now. In addition for hearing and making recommendations for this connectivity fee, funded programs during the fiscal year, which is what I'm presenting to you today. As John alluded to earlier, we have spent close to about 20-25 hours reviewing all these hearings and reviewing the budget and meeting and talking about all these and the things to think about. Our mindset going into deciding this budget came down to a couple things. First and foremost, remaining unbiased. bringing unique experiences to students across all different majors and backgrounds, carefully analyzing the numbers and any additional information we were provided, being efficient with the budget, and maximizing each student's dollar down to the penny. And we also wanted to identify a potential conflict of interest with any programs if there were any. So it's a kind of a layout, what you'll see as I go into the narrative, it's just kind of how things are laid out. So on the left side, you'll see the base, which is what was asked for in the previous fiscal year, and then what was requested for this year's budget, and then the final column on the right will show what we recommend. And this is for this upcoming fiscal year, which starts July 1st and wraps up June 31st of 2020. So this is an overall look at the budget. So in 2019, it was $2,621,648 for the base that was given last year. The request for this year was $2,744,630, an additional request of about $123,000. Our recommendation, to bring that down a number a little bit, with an allocation from our uncommitted staff reserve fund, which brought it down to a final recommendation of $2,677,500.43, about a $55,895 increase from last year. And then one more thing, you got this handed out to you earlier today, so this kind of breaks down. We're looking at about a 4.7% increase from last year, and that's again, as athletics alluded to lower enrollment numbers, as well as some mandatory increases in salary, fringe, and the minimum wage increase. So we were kind of digging out of the hole to begin with. We did our very best to keep that number as low as we could, while still allowing programs to continue functioning in the way they need to function. And that comes down to a banded max of $105 out of tuition. If I'm going too fast, feel free to stop me. I tend to talk fast when I present. So. All right.
I did that earlier with the email.
All right, so we'll kind of go right down our line here, beginning with Campus Rec. So their base and last year was $540,360. Their request this year did go up to $554,351, and we recommend keeping that as requested. It is an increase of about 2.59%, and this increase we find necessary because it's pretty much all contractual increases, such as fringe benefits, full-time salaries, an increase in student hourly wage, and also student FICA. And you'll see that's a common theme with a lot of these ones. So moving right along into intramural sports. They asked for $25,000 last year, $25,000 again this year, and we recommend upholding that. They've had a really good use of their funds for intramurals, and we just feel that they've used that money efficiently, and they should continue to get that same amount. The Avenger Ed and climbing walls, there was an ask for last year of $146,728. They increased this year for a request of $149,728, and we recommend decreasing that amount to $147,728, a decrease of $2,000. That would come out of a GA travel or GA professional development. This expense is not something that's offered to any other group that is funded out of this thing, so we want to make sure we're staying consistent and offering all the groups the same opportunities. So that's why and that was just the $2,000 for that professional development. The R&R fund was $20,000 last year. They requested $20,000 this year, and we recommend keeping that to make sure they can continue to update equipment as needed. MAVRIK Adventures, the base last year was $18,631. The request this year was $20,504, and we are recommending $11,000. This is a decrease of $7,631, or about 40.96%. And this was under the belief from senators on the committee who believes the program hasn't come far enough for the amount of support they've been given the last couple of years to continue to warrant the need for a graduate student. We believe more emphasis needs to be made on the programming to improve events and come up with some new ideas. So we allocated $5,000 to events, which is an increase of what they asked for out of $1,800. Of the $2,800 that was asked. The GA, as we said, was eliminated, and we feel like Campus Rec should seek help up from places like student workers, either in the form, possibly in the form of an intern, We even suggest reaching out to the RPLS program, Recreation, Parks, and Leisure Services, to find those students. And we allocated $6,000 to cover salary costs. And just to give you a breakdown of where that $6,000 comes from, it's about $10 an hour times 20 hours a week, which is about $200 per week. And that allows about 30 weeks of salary, which is about the approximate length of a school year. The next one is forensics or speech and debate, as they're working on rebranding too. They asked last year for $18,631, and then their request this year was $19,783, and we are recommending a 24.86% decrease down to $14,000. And we found that even though speech and debate continues to grow, they're expecting growth in membership from about 13 members to 23 this year. That there's per student cost at this allocation is way too high. Even if they hit that maximum expected of 23 students, it would still be a per cost student of $860.13, which is the highest cost per student by any group through this budget by a landslide. Even decreasing this recommendation to $14,000, the per student cost is still pretty high at $608.70. And we recognize that most of the costs in this group do come from travel, and that travel is expensive. But the only cost currents are currently taking out of pocket are for food. And we believe students could contribute more to their trips, or they could look at taking fewer trips and doing more programming on campus to help departments and students. And we also felt that there is an exclusivity to forensics in that if you don't have good public speaking skills as well as debate skills, that you really can't benefit from the travel of the programs. And for that reason, and none of the other groups really have that issue, so that was another reason that we thought bringing that down and asking for more students to pay out of pocket was appropriate. The next one is gender and sexuality programs. And asked last year $55,000, and this year they remain flat at that number, asking $55,000 again. And we do believe they're using that money efficiently and recommend continuing with that $55,000. The green transportation fee asked for $307,538 last year. This year came with a request of $336,461, and we are recommending allocating that full $336,461, which is an increase of about 9.4% from last year. And for the reason being, we don't believe it's safe to continue to rely on grants to help with the fee, and therefore that student should cover the cost. And we also want to make sure that burden isn't being pushed to parking, because if we take too much money to parking, they may look for other solutions for money in that budget, and that could eliminate the free lot, which many students are very thankful that we have that free lot, so we want to keep that. We additionally recognize that the buses provided more than 500,000 rides in fiscal year 19, which is the most direct student impact of probably almost anything in this budget. So making sure that we're continuing to fund those is very important. As well as there was a new bus route this year that goes from Nelson Hall down to the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation downtown in the Hubbard building, and that route's been very successful. We want to continue to see things like that progress with the buses. The International Center activities, last year asked for $55,400, came in with a request this year of $75,942, and we are recommending an allocation of $58,242, which is an increase from last year of about 5.13%, but less than what they had asked for. This is coming from a $17,700 that was asked for a new GA. The D would be to find community service opportunities for international students so they can fulfill scholarship requirements. Though we do realize the need to fulfill scholarship requirements is important, we feel like that's more of an academic need and not so much a student activity fee need, so we think that money needs to come from the academic side and not from student activities. And we also heard that the International Center has not been actively reaching out to offices on campus already like community engagement and seeking out those community service opportunities. And we would like to see more of that partnership with those two groups. And also working with other RSOs such as Circle K and other RSOs on campus that are very community service based to find additional hours to complete those requirements to get their scholarships. Multicultural student activities came in last year with an ask of $47,000, remained flat this year again with a $47,000 request, and we recommend maintaining that. We really like the collaboration that they do with all the different departments on campus, and they also brought up in their meeting they're making an effort to do fewer events based on food and more on experiences, and we're looking forward to seeing the follow through with that.
Brett, can I just jump in?
Yeah.
I want to jump in 1 minute. That first line when Brett's been talking about the ask, the FY19 is the base. It's not what the ask was last year, just to make it clear. It's the base that they have currently in this year. It wasn't the ask, which is maybe, it could be the same number, but it might have been different. So I want to make sure that it's not the ask from last year. It was what the base is for this current year.
Thanks for clarifying that, Mark. Music Ensembles is next. They were given $76,950 last year, asked to remain flat at that this year, and we are upholding that. They've continued to show good success in the program as well as efficient use of their funding. The request fund for travel and programming, so this is what we debate in our meeting every week and send to you guys. 40,000 has been a really good number, and we believe that will continue to provide an adequate amount for a successful operating budget for travel and programming. Repertory dance is the next one. They were given $5,000 last year, requested to receive $5,000 again this year, and recommend maintaining that $5,000. Again, very good use of their funds, and the program continues to do very well. The reporter last year was given $55,259. This year they came with a request of $79,237, and we are recommending allocating $71,637, an increase of about 30% from last year, but not fulfilling that full amount they requested for. The breakdown of that, $2,000 was cut, a hot button topic on this group. Again, the gold parking passes, and we also believe that student government should go as far as to no longer allow any funding, whether from student activity fee or self-generated, to go to the purchase of gold parking passes. The reporter staff have the ability to park in the pay lot for about $4. And at $4 an hour, it would take at least 330 hours or 13.75 full days to make up the cost of those 4 permits. The rationale for needing it for sales meetings on time did not convince SAC that those passes are necessary. And also by eliminating the ability to purchase gold passes altogether, the reporter would have an additional $2,000 to allocate towards other resources or to request less to bring down the student activity fee budget. The additional $5,600 cut is the printing budget for the MAVRIK Gold Mine coupon book. We found out that they described to us that some of these books are being given to students at other universities in the area like Bethany and areas around here, and we thought that's not a fair use of our money, so we would like to see that number cut down. And also there are less than 10,000 undergrads at MSU, and not all of them either need or want or have received that coupon book, so reduce that number just a little more than half, down to $7,500, and those coupon books are coming at about $1 per book, so that's where that number came from. They did ask for some increased funding to make improvements with their customer relationship management. They'd like to purchase the software, and they have had higher pickup rates this year. They've seen much more success within their newspaper this year, as we want to make sure they continue to build those relationships with advertising, and we feel like providing them additional funding for that CRM software will help them do that. Their R&I fund, we're recommending allocating $0, which was given last year and requested this year. They still have an account balance in there of $10,369, and that should be sufficient to cover any anticipated expenses in the next budget cycle. The staff administration last year was allocated $261,852. This year they're asking for $267,380, and we are recommending upholding that ask of $267,380, an increase of about 2.11%. The increase again is just covering salary fringe, different things like that, those mandatory increases, things that are necessary for the staff administration staff for the upcoming year. Student government last year was given $109,588. This year requested $111,038. We're recommending $106,538, which is a decrease of $3,050 or about 2.78%. And then this is that comes from a $4,500 decrease for the senator stipends, which the senators in our committee thought that those stipends were not motivating enough, and that those that are in this room are doing this because you want to be here and not because you're motivated by $100 you receive at the end of your term. And then there's additional increase there for contractual salary and fringe benefits, which we support. For theater, we recommend allocating theater $82,000, which was the request this year as well as what they were allocated last year. And again, we believe they continue to operate efficiently with their programs. Veterans Resource Programming, they received a reserve in fiscal year 18. Came in this year with a request of $3,000, and we recommend upholding that. Tim Adams down in the Veterans Resource has done a great job with the funds that he has and continues to provide excellent services for the veterans, and we'd like to see that program success continue. This is a whole breakdown of all the groups within student activities, beginning with administration. They were given $552,389 in 19. For fiscal year 20, they're asking for $572,439, and we recommend giving them that money. Again, this is mostly salary and fringe benefit increase here. Community engagement coming in with the same request as what they were allocated last year at $9,797. They've used their money efficiently, and we feel like they should continue to receive that funding. The same can be said with the next three groups here with Greek Life, Homecoming, Leadership View. Greek Life for $15,000, we recommend keeping that. Homecoming, $51,000, we recommend keeping that, as well as Leadership View with $5,100, we also recommend keeping that. The Non-Traditional Student Center follows suit as well. We received $2,000 last year, asked for $2,000 again. We recommend keeping that as they've used that money efficiently. Same with the RSOs, who were given 62, asked for 62, recommend giving 62. And the student events team last year was given $111,720. This year requested $14,720, and we recommend giving them that full amount of $114,720, which is an increase of $3,000 or about 2.69%. This is $1,000 for the Stomper Cinema contract, which we believe is necessary because it's one of the most popular events in the CSU. So making sure we can retain that contract so they can continue to show movies there, as well as offer movies for other RSOs to show for various programming stuff at a lower rate. We also approved a $2,000 for a WOW Zone event that drew in over 700 students. Was successful in its first year. We're looking to expand on that, and that helps cover costs with security and renting out the facility and different things. And then also was very successful reaching off-campus students, which helped check off a box, which was a goal for student event team this year to reach more off-campus students. So again, I'll pull this slide up. So we are looking from fiscal year 19, we had a per credit hour of $8.36. And due to the various increases and stuff, we did go up to an 8.75% credit hour, which is a 4.7% increase, or an abandoned max of about a $5 increase from last year. Are there any questions?
Floor is open for questions. President Cronin. I'll yield to 3 questions.
Okay, first question. So you cut the professional development, or you didn't allocate money for the Adventure Ed GA professional development. Yes.
Yep.
And so is that similar across every single department, that there's not a single GA that receives staff funding for professional development?
That's correct.
Okay. Second question, how much is the staff reserve?
Staff reserve. Mark, we have it on a handout.
Yeah, I'll get it for you.
I think we have it. Oh, I think it'll be on a handout.
Okay, because then my third question is a follow-up to that, which is how do you justify the use of using a buy-down from the reserve when you think about next year or the following years that would also have to keep using a buy-down, or one year have to, exponentially increase the student fee to make up for that buy-down if the reserve was ever to not be sufficient?
Sure. So yeah, we only took. I believe there's close to, like, I think it's around 260,000 in that reserve right now. So we took 20,000 out of there just to bring that cost down a little more. I think before that we were over 5%, and adding that 20,000 brought us down to 4.7%. So to bring us down a little bit, and talk with Teresa and Mark, that money does kind of slowly come back over time. So we thought it was a small enough amount where it isn't going to be like a huge effect. Where if that money is needed in emergency, we're not taking too much of it, but also just enough to continue to bring that cost down more. So students again are maximizing every penny that they're spending.
Yeah, the reserve is $492,000 and plus.
Even more.
So that's about 5%, I think.
What we, meaning Teresa and I, went into SAC to recommend that we recommended not to go over $50,000. We thought it'd be prudent if you went up to that we can go ahead and take that for a little bit. We've been using that every year, small amounts, but if we kept doing it and it got larger and larger, then it would go away at some time or other potentially. So right now we're healthy, it's fine, and SAC decided to go under that $50,000. It wasn't a recommendation, it was a cap that we were suggesting. We're not there to vote, it's their thing. And we didn't have that in the PowerPoint, but I've got this whole thing, and I'll pass these around right now. And the last page has all the reserve information for the last 5 years, which was part of the motion you passed last year that you wanted.
Okay. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you for your presentation. We have the handouts coming around in case there's any lingering confusion. Those are this year's numbers, whereas the white sheets you got before are last year's.
If you do have questions in the meantime, as you're over spring break, my email is on there. Feel free to shoot me. I'm usually pretty quick to respond, as well as John mentioned earlier, reaching out to those departments with any questions you don't have. Emailed with the full request that they all gave us was sent out to you, and is also available in the blue binders in the student government office. Thank you guys again for your time.
I'm also passing around one more thing, the green. This is a description of each one of the areas that they went on. So if people weren't familiar with what forensics was all about, this will give you a description about what those mean.
As was mentioned on this end of the table, this is a great thing to hang on to and bring with you to the budget presentation when we get back. Hang on to this one.
Mr. Speaker, while we're regrouping, can I pull this out again and just go through some numbers of senators real quick?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, senators, the sheet that I gave you, this chart, this table, okay? If you want to go down that with me, if you're looking at the fee area under student activity fee, it shows your fiscal year 19 proposed hourly rate. And you just want to pencil in next to these numbers what the fiscal year 20 requested rates are right now. I can show you what some of the numbers play out like, okay? So for the student activity fee, your fiscal year 20 recommended from SAC is $875 a credit hour, banded at $105. I am looking at this, the handout I passed around, there's no heading on it.
It's the fee area.
Yep, that one.
Okay.
It says fee area. The first thing you'll see is a column heading that says fee area. That one. There you go. Okay. So you're looking at $875 per credit hour for the student activity fee, banded at $105. So pencil this in next to the fiscal year 19 numbers. The athletics fee, the fiscal year 20 proposed is going to be $394 a credit hour, banded at $47.28. And the percent increase for the student activity fee will be 4.67. And then you might have to knock that down just a tad, maybe a penny on that student, because it's 2.07 right now, so we have to be under 2.0%. Under these technology fee, are you guys going to present that as open forum? Okay, got it. Okay. We'll pencil that in after they present it to you. The student union fee, $10.86 per credit hour, $130.32 banded. And then the student health services fee is the same, $542, banded at $65.04. And the campus rec outdoor facilities fee is also the same. If you were to fund all of the requests at their requested or recommended rate right now, your cumulative fee increase would be 2.07%. 2.04, excuse me. Okay? So your total proposed hourly would go to $41.97, and your banded would go to $503.64. And that represents a 2.04% increase. $41.97.
What's the bandit?
Senator Christensen.
Yes, did you receive the sheet that you're reading off from now?
I wrote these in myself as the groups were presenting.
Is there any way that you're able to maybe send that out? I know a few of us here weren't able to follow along with all those numbers.
Okay.
You presented.
You want me to go down again real quick? Okay, we'll wait. Okay. Huh? Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we will now move into open forum. Is there anyone here to speak for open forum? Vice President Johnson.
Thanks, John.
Can you email us? My airdrop is on. Mine is on.
So we promised we'd come back with the fee. There was a piece of our presentation. We showed you all the background information, but there was a piece we were missing, and I neglected to understand the changes, and so we've corrected that. We're going to hand out a piece real quick just so you have it, and then if we have questions, otherwise we'll sit right down. And Katrina King, who's part of our student technology consulting group. So we're basically recommending going from $10 to $10.50, and the chart you have here are what the students asked us to say. This is where you would want the emphasis to be. So it's going to be about wireless, including the wireless access, creating a mobile app, tools for online learners, and also informal learning spaces and classroom and lab technology upgrades and improvement or addition. So we got a little bit of a sheet here that lays it out. Our presentation we did last week laid out all the background and all the history of it, but didn't give you this specific piece of information we should have brought. And it was my mistake we didn't do that, so I want to come and just hand this to you and see if you have any questions for either Katrina or I.
President Cronin.
So just to clarify, like the numbers John was talking about earlier, you're moving from $10 to $10.50.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And it is capped at $12, so we're not going to like the full 12, just from 10 to 10.50. And it is banded, so you'd be paying no more than
126.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak for open forum? All right, seeing none, we will then move into the approval of the consent agenda. Is there any dissent to approving the consent agenda? Senator Silwall. All right, there's a motion to combine Senator O'Vrighty and Silwall's reports without objections. All right, seeing no objections, it is so amended. Any other amendments to the consent agenda? Oh my. All right, Senator Roebuck.
Motion to move Senator Roebuck's Senate report to first.
All right, we have a motion to move Senator Roebuck's report to first under Senator reports. Is there any objections? Seeing none, so amended. Senator Erickson.
Motion to move Senator Erickson and Moy's report to next week due to the fact that she interrupted class.
All right, next week we have spring break, and then the following week we have budget, so it'll be March 20th that'll get moved to. All right, without objections, so amended. Any further amendments? Senator Adedeji.
Motion to combine my report with Guado's report.
All right, motion to combine Senator Adedeji and Owusu's report. Or Senator, or adding Senator Owusu to your report. Gotcha. Any dissent? None, so amended. All right, any further amendments? Is there any dissent to approving the consent agenda? Seeing none, agenda is now approved, and we'll move into officer reports, starting with President Cronin.
Okay, I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible, but I do have a lot to get through, so I'm sorry to talk fast. First off, we had Advocacy Conference this weekend for Students United. Thank you to all of you who attended. The board and the exec members were really pleased to see the great involvement from every campus. And make sure that you fill out the survey that was sent out today so we can hear back. It was our first conference we ever put on, and so we're hoping to continue with this if there is positive feedback. Also, I know Senator Sampson, as the PR chair for the Students United Committee, is hoping to potentially hear back just testimonies if you attended. So email those to her, especially if they're positive. On Monday, we attended Advocacy Day, where students from Mankato, we met with different representatives at the Capitol in St. Paul to talk about the legislative agenda from Students United. So that was really successful as well. We were able to meet with 4 different representatives. Delegates will be upcoming before you know it in about 6 weeks or so. So if you're interested in attending the spring delegates, make sure to reach out to our campus coordinator, Ray Whitty, because he is the individual that makes the delegation, appoints the delegation to attend for spring delegates. As well as spring delegates is also the opportunity to run for state chair, vice chair, and Students United treasurer. So if you're interested in applying for any of those positions, those applications are open, and I believe the link to the application is on the Students United website. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely check that out. Just as an update, next week I will be traveling to Washington, D.C. with the other board members and campus coordinators to meet with state legislators, or our Minnesota state legislators and senators to talk about the Students United federal platform. So tomorrow what I'm going to be doing is spending some time in the office writing letters, because I will be meeting with Senator Smith, Senator Klobuchar, as well as Representative Hagedorn. So the board and I are hoping to get letters from students on our campus that we can bring to them to talk about the issues that Students United wants to advocate for, as well as writing letters to our representatives who are at the Minnesota state level, the state level. So if you're interested in learning how to make calls or write these letters, all day in the office tomorrow I'll be working on that, because as you might have seen or heard, the Governor Walz did release his proposed budget for Minnesota for next year, which does include the higher education portion, because we are funded partially by the state. It definitely was nowhere near what Minnesota State asked for. So one thing we're doing is spending a lot of time reaching out to our representatives, letting them know how important it is to have Minnesota State funded, because if it doesn't get funded to what is needed, that could result in a tuition increase. We have had stable tuition freeze for the last 2 years, but this budget definitely is nowhere close to what Minnesota State asked for. So tomorrow, all day in the office, I'll be making calls, writing letters. So if you want to come, definitely it helps with numbers. Can I yield to a question?
Yeah, Senator Dalk.
What time will you be available tomorrow?
I will be around from about 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the office all day. So yeah, definitely stop by, because we were able to meet with Lexi Byer, who was the vice chair last year. She works for Tina Smith's office, and she was telling us from like an insider perspective, you know, the number of calls and letters that they get about issues, they literally just mark it down. So the more calls, the more letters they're receiving about issues, the more precedence that legislator will take when discussing these issues. So yeah, the budget meeting is coming up. We just had all these wonderful presentations. Be sure to take the time over spring break to look at the electronic files that were sent out last week. Have, discussions in the office. I know Senator Landis has offered to always, sit down and talk anyone through the budget or give off opinions and stuff. And I know him and I talked last week, and there's a lot of great discussion to be had. Since the budget meeting, is 3 p.m. to who knows long. There will be dinner provided. We will be ordering pizza. So if you do have any dietary restrictions, please be sure to email that to Amber ASAP. So when we're putting in those orders, we can make sure that everyone is able to, eat based on those restrictions. Also, I know this seems very far away, but March 14th is the next meet and confer. So I wanted to send around the sign-up sheet, just because the next time we'll have a meeting is literally the day before that meet and confer. So if you are interested in attending, it is the Thursday right after the budget meeting, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., our typical time. So I'll send that sheet around right now. And then it'll be sent around again at that budget meeting, so if something changes over the next couple weeks and you're not able to attend or able to attend, you will be able to edit your name. If you saw last night, Speaker Pasco sent out the agenda, and on there were some different discussion points that he has laid out regarding different bylaw changes. So one thing I wanted to pass around that I've communicated with our advisor, John Bolcock, about is making an official committee meeting time. So this year, as you're aware, our committees do meet post-Senate meetings. And just from what I've seen over my 3 years involved in student government, has been a definite increase in attendance for these committees, making them right after Senate. So I think this is something that deserves to be put in the bylaw so that there is that official committee meeting time, because our student and academic affairs committee times are very important and critical to Senate. Last year I remember I was attending student affairs and only 4 people were showing up just because of class issues. I know academic affairs was having 2 separate committee times because the coordinator was trying to accommodate as many people as they could. So I think that by officiating a committee time would just make it a lot easier, and then people wanting to run for Senate or be a part of Senate would know, okay, like I have to be available for this time for the meetings and this time for the committee meetings. So what I'm passing around right now, it's kind of 4 different options that were talked about that I think would make most sense, having the committee times pre-Senate meeting or post-Senate meeting. So what I think would be great is, like if you were to think which one you think most students would be able to adhere to, and I'm going to plan on sending out a form through email that you'd be able to vote or rank vote which ones you think work best. Like if Senate starts at 4 p.m. and committee meetings start at 3 p.m. or if Senate starts at 3 p.m. and committee meetings start at 5 p.m. So you can see all those different options. Or if you just want to circle which one you think is the best and put it in my mailbox if that works better. But just because I think if this is going to be an official bylaw change, to making this a permanent time, that it should be something discussed. And then finally, I know we've had so many snow days and stuff, so we haven't been able to start our one-on-ones right away, but we want to be able to try and get in another one-on-one this semester with the executives. So what I'm about to pass out now is the list of people and which executive you've been meeting with. I tried to switch it up from best what I can remember who you met with last semester, so to give you an opportunity to meet with potentially a different executive. And for those of you who may not have been senators last year, last semester, this is just an opportunity to meet with an executive member and talk about, different projects you're working on or ways that you think the executive team can help you in Senate. And then as well, what I'm passing around in a paper form is that report that would be expected for you to fill out and then bring to the meeting, so that way, we can kickstart that conversation. And I'll also send this out in an electronic form if that works better for you. But I know some people had trouble with that last semester, just being able to edit it. So I think filling it out could potentially be easier and then just bringing that in. And with that, that's done.
Questions for President Cronin? Senator Hoyset.
I just have a question for the
timing.
So oftentimes these meetings run long, so I'm just wondering, is this, so for the current one, sometimes it runs into committee time and then people have to end up staying until 7:30 or 8. Would that be a problem for the other things as well? Would you foresee, would that be a solution to that problem?
I think with that one, I would imagine it would just mean committees meet directly after Senate. So, Senate goes to 6 or 6:30, then those committee times meet at 6. Or if we get out a little early and the coordinator wants to try and get that meeting done as soon as possible. But yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that would be something that could be included in the bylaw, saying, they meet directly after, or they're always meeting at 6 o'clock, so Senate gets done at 7:30, then you get an hour and a half break or something. Yeah, so that's just the kind of discussion that I think needs to happen over the next couple weeks as we start thinking about which option we think would make most sense.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Like a last time.
Seeing none, we'll move into Vice President Omar's report.
Mine is pretty short. I have updated my office hours, and then I will get into contact with the senators to meet with. And the last thing is, over the next few weeks, I will be sitting on different committee meetings just to see how they run. So yeah, that's fine.
Questions for Vice President Omar? All right, Seeing none, we will then move into my report. So as President Cronin mentioned earlier, I did include a schedule for subjects I think we should have a discussion as a body in regards to any amendments we want to make to our governing documents in relation to them. The first one I have marked down for accountability procedures. I know that there is a demerit system that is currently in a draft resolution format, so we're going to keep that one for the first one, but otherwise I might switch these topics around as we get closer and as we're hearing kind of what the what people are working on in regards to draft resolutions. So I might move up committee meeting times if that's something that we're interested in. But as we're approaching the dates for each of these, if you have any draft resolutions that you want to make, let me know and we can have them presented the day that we bring those up so that in following weeks we could potentially vote on those as we approach the end of the year. Otherwise, I met with a director for our live stream last week regarding the cutting out of the stream during election discussions. And after that discussion and after input from senators who have approached me to discuss the issue, we are going to keep the stream live during that time. And I've also talked with them about making potential improvements to the live stream. This week, I sent them an agenda and provided everything went according to plan. We should now have the names of people as they come up to give presentations or reports showing up on the live stream. I've also discussed potentially having the agenda be shown on the stream as we're starting to convene. And I'm also talking with them about what the possibility is to get closed captioning installed either during the live stream or perhaps in post, if that's a possibility. But yeah, I also got some good information regarding to our viewership. It is more this, it's been more during this session than it has during previous sessions. I think the highest we ever had was 22 separate instances of the stream that were open, and that I know includes a rather larger audience at the RHA meetings. I know they often have live streams or at least viewing parties there, so I think that's great to indicate more student interest in our activities. And with that, I will yield to questions either on that or anything else I included in my email that I sent out last night. Senator Moeen.
Yeah, so you were saying that they will not cut the, means they'll not mute the presentation like whatever, or they will?
That is correct, they will not. We will be live for the whole time during our election discussions. Any further questions? Advisor Bocock.
I don't know if you have this planned for some other time during the meeting to open up the floor for senators to make a request for departments to be here at the budget hearing?
At this current meeting, or?
Yes. Or what was your plan for getting those requests if anybody around this table wanted to request, since we won't have another meeting before that budget hearing?
Gotcha. If you want to request for a specific department to come in, send either me, John, or one of our executive members an email. Make sure to have me CC'd on it, no matter who you send it to, and then we'll give them that notification. Make sure you include not only who you want to show up, but also what your reasoning for that is, and potentially sample questions that we can then pass on to them.
Can we recommend that be done by tomorrow? Because Teresa will need to send that notification to them by Friday that they've been asked to be at the budget hearing.
All right, if you want any organizations or departments to be present at that budget meeting that are not coming in already, make sure to have that email sent by tomorrow. Any additional questions? Seeing none, that will wrap up my officer reports. We will now move into senator reports, starting with the Student Affairs Committee report. Oh, sorry. We amended so that Senator Robux was the first to go. So we'll start with you.
Should I use this one or the other one? Use this one.
Alright, so my name is Quinlan Roebuck, and I am a senator for residential life. My senator report is going to be about my meeting with Cindy Janey that I had. either a week or two ago. I can't exactly remember. It was on a Friday. We primarily talked about gender neutral housing. That was my main question going in. So what the information that I got from her on what exactly we're doing with that, because that is a topic of discussion in residential life right now. Cindy Janey, who is the director of residential life, said that she used guidance from the Journal of College and University of Student Houses, and then from the chapter Better Than Most, Trans Perspectives on Gender Neutral Housing. So she specifically was looking into not like the overall perspective of everyone, but specifically what trans students think about gender neutral housing. And what she read is that gender neutral housing benefits everybody, but it doesn't actually focus on trans issues. And so she wants to look into how we can better focus on those issues and not just making it's a lot harder to just make the whole university gender neutral. There's a lot of different things you have to do to go to start that. So there is a written statement. When I was at the meeting, she said that they had written up a statement to put on the room page as kind of an advertisement saying that we have gender inclusive housing, and that's just where students can, if they want to live on a floor that aligns with their gender identity, they can get in contact with Residential Life and get that arranged. Right now they don't exactly have the staff that is trained to do that, so right now Crest Warden is in charge of all of that for next year, and so that they can start training people on how to work that kind of stuff, and it will be on Star Res. I just looked an hour ago, and it is on the Res Life homepage. You go to the homepage, you go to application process link, steps to apply, and then you go down to the related topics at the very bottom. So let me pull it up really quickly. At the moment, it says gender inclusive housing. We offer gender inclusive housing in all of our residence communities. We know that gender is socially constructed and non-binary. If your gender identity closely aligns with either male or female living spaces, you can choose either option through the housing portal and complete the application online. If your identity does not align with the gender binary, there are many options available. The one issue that I have with this is that there is no link or information to tell them where to go. So yes, they could assume that they can just call the Res Life office and talk about it, and they would obviously direct them, but there is no direction on the website. So that's something that I plan on bringing up to Cindy Janey on a potential change for that, because all of the other ones in related topics have that most of them you can click on, if you hover over it, but this one is just a photo, a picture on it. So
about 20 seconds remaining.
Oh my gosh. Well, the other thing that we talked about was ADA rooms, because it was brought up to me that there was a student that had a situation and the ADA rooms are accessibility rooms. So she just kind of gave me a run through on that. If you want more information on that, let me know. I can answer that in a second. And then we also talked about Stadium Heights lighting on the road, and she recommended to me to talk to Andrew Trenny about it, who's the RHA president, because she mentioned it to him that he could potentially start working on it, so I might talk to him about that.
That's time. Any questions for Senator Roebuck? Seeing none, thank you for your report. Next is a Student Affairs Committee report. And the committee report has a limit of 5 minutes as opposed to the 3 minutes for the Senate reports.
Hi everybody, my name is Samson Akinton. I'm the Student Affairs Coordinator, and my report is going to be based on what we've done so far in Student Affairs. So far we've only had 3 meetings thanks to the snow. But the first meeting we had, we just pretty much talked about what our goals were going to be for this semester, and what we've done last semester and how we can improve on that. So we kind of just started off by naming every project we wanted to work on, the beginning of last year, and then try to see what roadblocks we ran into, then try to see how we can incorporate that when we're doing our transition reports and things like that. And then moving on from that meeting, the second meeting, we had a discussion about mental illness, like at Minnesota State, like just mental health in general at Minnesota State University, and it was actually Senator Oyset that actually ran that meeting for the most part, which we just pretty much talked about ways whereby we can help students out, and one of the things we brought up was how, like right now, students can't, like, there's not really a lot of staff in the mental, like in that department. So we're trying to see like how we can we're gonna see how we can get potentially more staff in there, and then also like just kind of like can't find the right word for it, but kind of like a transparency between students and the staff who work there, whereby students can actually see the staff that they're gonna go set up an appointment with, rather than just going there and just being paired up with somebody randomly. So like kind of like a online platform whereby like it would show the staff, it would show like what they specialize in, kind of like their degree, and then that way the student can actually like pick who they want to go have an appointment with. And then lastly, we had another meeting with security, and in that meeting, Sandy was there, the director of security here. And we pretty much just kind of like also had an open discussion about security on campus in general. Like we brought back some of the issues, because we had a meeting with her also last semester. So we brought back some of those issues with her and how we try to go about addressing them on campus. One of them is the Safe Walk program, and I believe like there's been a lot more publicizing about the Safe Walk program on campus. So most students are actually actively using that more now. And then another thing we also talked about was potentially integrating kind of like a security app here at MSU. St. Cloud State University have an app called Safe at St. Cloud, right? Yeah. So on that app, they get to like, there's a lot of features on there where it helps with the security. And so we're trying to like, not necessarily copy them, but kind of like incorporate some of like that idea here at MSU as well. And then it would also incorporate some aspect of student lives as well, so to encourage more student activity on campus, and then also to help with security in general. But the development on that is still going on, and we're planning on meeting up with like Sandy and also IT and getting that set up. So with that, I just have any questions.
Questions for Senator Quinton? Senator Rodinez.
Just have a question, just like an add-on. I actually have the app. I emailed and have a demo of the app, so it has like Purple Gold MSU, kind of a demo on my phone. So if you would like to take a look at it, I can give you the username and password for when you download the app, and you can look at it yourself and see kind of the demo layout we have. So just reach out to me if you'd like that.
Additional questions or comments? Senator O'Carroll.
So with your mental health program you guys are running, I know myself and President Mimi are working on a program as regards to like mental health on campus. We're going to be having like a guest speaker on campus to help like give more information about mental health and how you could work with like programs for that. So just a little bit about
Thank you for that information.
Senator Ramsey.
Just to note, all of the practitioners here are general practice, so there's no specializing particularly that you're going to be able to list for each counseling center.
I couldn't quite hear you, sir.
They're all general practice. They don't have a specialization.
Okay. So is there like a way to get like people with specialization? That's kind of
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for your report. I have a report from Senator Nowinski.
I can just slide it here. We'll get cozy. Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Nowinski. I'm one of the CSET senators, working on some different stuff than my fellow senators. Last semester, I checked in with you all. I had done some stuff, and I was just starting my pre-professional advising crusade. I started off, I sent out an informal kind of survey that I was going to use to bring ideas when I met with Associate Dean Dr. Budge. I was quickly informed that they wanted to go about this in a more formal manner, so I met with Dr. Budge anyway. with one of my good friends, constituents, and someone who's really involved with CSET, Angela Onadipe, and we kind of concluded that the best way to go about improving our pre-professional advising services would be to kind of do a top-down and bottom-up approach. So on the top-down side, with the help of the CSET Advising Center and Dr. Budge and some survey specialists, we have created a survey that is going to be sent out via the advising office. It's still being created, but that will have input from the dean's office, from the advising center office, and from students on those questions that will be contained. And then that survey will be used by the advising office and the CSET staff and faculty. And then the bottom-up approach will be, I reached out to the pre-professional clubs, including pre-medicine, pre-physician's assistant, pre-dental, pre-PT, OT, I think that's all of them. And I have reached out to their student leaders in those clubs, and I want them to kind of contribute to improving our advising process by creating a backbone guideline, how to apply to X kind of school document, and then supplying that to the advising office, because the CSET advising office, they are very busy, and by doing some of that footwork for them, hopefully they'll be able to use those documents as kind of living documents in the future to hand to faculty advisors who can then advise those pre-professional students better. The survey, we're looking at probably going out to students late March. And yeah, so my goal with the rest of my time here is just to get that survey out and aid in the process of getting those student voices to the advising office. And that's all that I have.
Floor is open for questions. Seeing none, thank you for your report. Next are Senators Adedeji and Owusu. And since you've combined your reports, you'll have up to 6 minutes.
Hi, my name is Shamsuddin. College of Business Senators. This was a last-minute partnership. I'm going to see how we work through this.
My idea was just to go through the meeting that I had with Cosmo last week Friday. In that meeting, I spoke about, I had the idea of increasing the GPA for the College of Business. That was denied apparently because the College of Business had already looked into it, and they decided to decrease the GPA rather than increase it 1 year ago. In addition, we're looking into creating a mentorship program. It's in its pilot stage currently, and we're looking for approval from the Dean of College of Business. We've created a survey for students to potentially sign up.
Okay, I'll be discussing some of the old businesses, what we've been working on all through the semester. Last semester, we tried to create NABA, National Association of Black Accountants. You don't necessarily have to be black to be in it, but yeah, because of the snow and the weather, we weren't able to attend the student engagement fair. So we don't have members for NABA currently, but we're trying to leverage the numbers in Business 295 class to get those members in. This is probably a project that's going to run through past our tenure as College of Business Senators. We'll have more time to work on it probably next semester. Currently, I'm working on, earlier during the semester, I represented Minnesota State University at Indiana at the National Diversity Case Competition. We did fairly well, but after talking with the academic advisor of UC Berkeley, who won the competition, what I discovered was that they had a debate team, and teams for these kind of competitions from freshman year, they have this team together. So I threw this idea to the Dean of the College of Business, and she was up for it. And now we're trying to recruit freshmen and sophomores into the debate team of the College of Business and competition teams and those kind of stuff. Also, I also sat in a meeting with the College of Business leadership regarding the curriculum of one of the major transfer partnerships the College of Business has, which is with International University of Grand Bassam. The Vice President for Operations was here 2 weeks ago, and this university has partnered with Minnesota State, and they have about 98 students that are international students in this university right now. But most of these students have had a lot of problems that have not been discussed. So we discussed most of these problems. And one of the things that I thought wasn't leveraged enough that the College of Business actually prospers really in is the learning communities. The learning communities in the College of Business has worked really well for a lot of students, but most of these students don't know about it. And I think it's because for many of us, we know that during orientations, there's a lot of information, and to kind of digest that information and kind of dissect it into something that would be useful for you is really difficult. And I think learning communities can help through that. And I don't want to limit this to just the College of Business. I want it to run through all the colleges. So I've discussed it with this, with the Academic Affairs Committee Coordinator, and I've spoken with the Dean of Global Education. She's willing to work with me on this, but I'm trying to get a university-wide support for making sure that learning communities have an active presence during orientation periods. And this is what I'm working on. And my co-senator here is currently the president of COSBO, which is the Association of Leadership in the College of Business. He was elected 2 weeks ago. So that kind of gives us more power to work on most of our projects. I stand for questions.
Floor is open for questions.
I just want to make a note that COSBO is being expanded for this academic year, though. Or not COSBO, the learning communities.
Senator Garton.
So you talked about changing the GPA. What is it currently? What were you trying to increase it to? What was it decreasing?
So it's currently at 2.5. Apparently in the previous years were 2.7, and apparently after a lot of research from the College of Business, they decided to lower it to allow a bunch of students who couldn't get in previously to get in now. And I wanted to increase it to a 3.0. So.
Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you for your report. I don't see Senator Landis with us, so we'll move his report to March 20th. Which means next is Senator Schmidt. Absolutely.
Hi guys, I'm Olivia, and I just have some updates in regards to what I've been doing. Last semester I was planning on researching if we could paint the performing arts basement because it looks like a dungeon. And those of us who are there all the time, it's boring and we would like it to look better. So painting couldn't happen because of the way the building was built. It chips too easily. So instead, I'm going to do some research on maybe doing art installations from Nelson Hall throughout the building and see if some of the students would be willing to make a musical or theater art sculpture to go down there and to make it a little bit more lively. Along with that, starting in fall, all student tickets for any music concert here on campus will be free. So if you want to go and see your friends perform, it'll be free. You still have to go online and pretend like you're getting a ticket, and then once you select student, the cost will go away. But for plays and musicals, that's still a normal price because they're a different fund than we are. And lastly, I don't know if any of the on-campus or off-campus senators were working on this, but I've had a couple desk workers, myself included, have problems with gold parking ending at 2 a.m. instead of 3. For those of us who live off-campus and park either in the overnight or have a friend will let us borrow their pass, we can't park in gold. And so I was talking to David Cohen about maybe changing it to 3 a.m. or seeing if we could get like a special pass for those desk workers so that they can park in gold until 3. where they're allowed to then leave instead of like parking so far away and then needing a safe walk to get there. So yeah, I yield for questions.
Any questions for Senator Schmidt? John?
On the music ticket pricing, does that include any traveling performing artists, or is that just tickets to the student ensemble performance events?
As of right now, from what I heard from the dean, it's just the student performances.
Okay. Senator Erickson.
Just kind of a comment to have you lead off with what to do for the parking passes. In the library, we have 2 select passes that you put on your little thing that's for the night only.
Yeah.
And to, I don't know, suggest something like that because they do that for us.
Okay.
For when we work, just to go off.
Any further questions? Senator Chaiti.
Answer to your question, I think whoever works in front desk, they're supposed to get a parking pass from the Res Life. So I think you can use that too, because it's just like a whole university. They have a rules that gold permit ended at 2 a.m.
Okay.
So
just because like I know talking with like Prescott and Crawford, they don't have those parking passes. So I'll try to see if we can get them in the other 3.
I will keep them in my mind. I'll definitely talk about it.
Okay.
Seeing no further questions, thank you for your report. And lastly, we have Senators O'Vrighty and Silwall.
Hello everyone. I just wanted to update you about last semester. First, I focused on internships and tutor center. Concerning the internships, because like a lot of international students always complain about companies not filing for them or not getting hired because they're international. I talked to the CDC, and as of recent, when we had the career fair, I noticed that she sent an email of all the list of companies that do sponsor students so that the international students can focus on that. So that was really great. For the tutor center, I recognize that some certain RSOs have created some tutor center like the NSB, National Society of Black Engineers, and the IEEE, and EWEEK.
Okay, so this week is EWEEK. It's called Engineers Week. So CSAT department and engineering RSOs have been creating different events throughout the week. So Monday we had a spaghetti dinner. It was conducted by Society of Women Engineers. And there were a few RSOs tabling today, and they will also be tabling tomorrow from 11 to 1 p.m. There will be some fun, exciting things to do, so you all can just go to the CSU and join them. Another RSO will be giving a tour to the aquatic facilities in MSU. So they'll be taking us to the swimming pool and other area just to show how the chlorine gas is properly expelled to the pool areas and how temperature and humidity is controlled in such areas. So if you're interested in going to that, they are doing it at 1 p.m. tomorrow. And they'll be meeting outside of Crafton East 224, so if you are interested, you can just join them. On Friday, we have MAVRIK's hockey game, so if you want to go through CSAT department, you can purchase a ticket and MSU apparel. It's a hat, MSU hat, a warm one, and game ticket and a taco, and it's included with food, so there'll be a taco bar and you can have tacos. All of these are included for $20, so if you are interested, you can contact one of us and we can give you the link.
Also, as of last week, we had a meeting with our Associate Dean, Dr. Budge, and we had a couple of questions for him. And we just brainstorming on ideas that we could come up to make the CSAT department a better fit for students. And we talked about the learning community. We know we have one learning community called Alpha for CSAT students, which is for on-campus students. Contains about 24 students. But we wanted something more for like on-campus and off-campus students as well. So we're talking about like a study cohort or a club where CSAT students can work together, any CSAT students, not just like focused on one like a for example, mechanical engineering has there. So we want all the departments to come together and like have a cool kind of club thing. That would just enhance activities for like E-Week. Also, basically, we wanted like a general CSET where like I'll explain this. So like we have different RSOs in the CSET department. We wanted something like a general one where all the RSOs can come together and have like events or, you know, study group and just brainstorming on simple ideas like that.
One last update. So our CSA department has piloted a mentorship program this summer. So it's focused for the incoming freshmen. So this summer they had 96 mentees and 57 student mentors. So the mentors were chose on the basis of how many credits they have completed and their academics. So far they still have 92 mentees enrolled in the program, and I also heard Senator Osu talking about how Scholars of Business is interested in that, so it's great. So far it's only for the domestic students, and the department is working on expanding it to internationals if possible. So that's about it. It's time for questions.
Any questions? Senator Sajal.
Other than the engineering tutoring problem, are you guys doing anything about the IT department? Because we also have like similar like tutor problem issues.
I didn't get the last part of that question. Could you restate that?
The IT department is also falls under the CSET. So other than the engineering department, like tutoring solution, are you guys anything doing about the IT part?
We're not specifically doing anything for the IT, but that's why I said we should have like a general CSET into all the departments.
Study cohort kind of thing. That idea came from the lack of tutoring center or learning community, so that could be something including IT department too.
Yeah, we have like a huge amount of number of people.
Senator Sajal, do you have a follow-up question or just a...
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. Any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you for your report. That concludes our senator reports. We will now move into our vacancy election. Senator Erickson.
Motion for a break.
Would you like to specify how much of a break you'd like to motion to?
5 minutes before the election.
5 minutes. Candidate, I'll go up for a 3-minute break. Any dissent? Senator Ramsey.
We have someone coming in at 6, so yeah, I'll try to get it through as quick as possible.
Would you like to withdraw your motion?
I'll withdraw my motion.
All right, we'll move into the vacancy election. Do we have our at-large candidate with us here? Excellent. You can proceed to the podium. Senator And I do believe you're familiar with our process for vacancy elections?
Yes.
Excellent. We'll get right into it then. You'll have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Hello, everyone. My name is Callie Pospischel. You might remember me from a couple weeks ago running for off-campus senator. I also am a MSU cheerleader, or at least I was, for 2 years. And you might recognize me from the executive council that oversees Greek life. But I just completed that on the calendar year. So I'm back here again, trying to get involved. And I feel like I still have a lot left to offer. So thank you for giving me this time to answer any questions or concerns you may have.
All right, floor is open for questions for the candidate. President Cronin.
So being that if elected, your first full meeting would be the budget meeting, and I know you were in the audience this meeting for a majority of it, how would you go about making sure that you are, educated as much as possible on all the 5 budgets that we will be voting on and going through in 2 weeks?
Absolutely. So, but I left out, I am a proxy for the off-campus senator. Yep, there she is. Sorry. And I did sit in on the first budget meeting, and then I was here the entire time. Plus, I would work on maybe tabling, surveys, just keeping updated on the projects of all the senators and really just prioritizing what we need and being very educated and to be worthy of attending that meeting.
Senator Nowinski.
How has your platform changed? I mean, I've read a little bit, but going from off-campus to at-large, because you have a much bigger constituency at this point.
Absolutely. With the bigger constituency and a changing constituency, there's far more people that you have to have a broader scope, if that makes sense. And my new issue that I chose was communication to constituents. And I believe that is something that always can be an improvement and something that I personally have experience with. So I believe that I could definitely improve in, like I said, tabling, surveys, having an online place for people to see what every individual is doing, and I feel like that would benefit everybody as a whole because that's very important as an at-large senator. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move into your closing statement.
Okay, I'll just make it short and sweet. Again, thank you for giving me the time to speak and answer any questions or concerns you might have. I really take this seriously. I don't take running for these positions lightly, and I hope you take my candidacy into consideration. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll have you step out into the hallway, and we'll invite you back in after we've had our deliberations. I am now opening a speakers list regarding the candidate. Senator Schmidt.
Can I motion to do a vote
We're not at the voting process yet. We're still in the speakers list. You want to talk regarding the candidate? Senator Ramsey.
No, I like her a lot. She's actively made an effort to learn more and better ready herself for the position. She has been here for all the budget meetings, so she's not behind. It gives an opportunity for more students' voices to be heard, and she has experience actively engaging with the general student body, and that's something we definitely do not do well, and it could be improved upon greatly. So someone who's already out there ready to do that, I think is needed and great.
Senator Dahlk.
I've worked with Callie for the last a couple times within the last semester or two, and one starting with Mav's Got Talent. One thing for sure, she's definitely very passionate about what she believes in and what she does. Lately, for the last couple weeks, we've been trying to get a new policy. We met with some higher in the administration, and she's definitely done her research, and she's definitely provided some information that even people in our higher administration, they weren't even sure of. And personally, me as as dedicated I am to it, she brought in some very useful information, and she's very dedicated and very passionate. So I definitely do think that she will try her hardest to make benefits to our university and also for the budget meeting.
Senator Mitchell.
Callie has been in the office a lot lately. She's been talking to a lot of senators about their projects, what they're doing. She's been trying to get involved with a lot of different people, even though she hasn't been on Senate yet. She has our board, the whiteboard with all of her projects written down in a binder. Yeah, she's been very active and involved with us, even though she hasn't actually officially been a part of our body. So I feel like she would be an excellent addition, and she will be very proactive with the short amount of time that we have left.
President Cronin.
Call a question.
Motion to call the question. Are there any other statements? I didn't see anyone else on the speakers list, so that being said, I think we can move into a vote. And with that, I think the way we are going to do votes in all these vacancy elections is the writing on the piece of paper. So you can now proceed to write either the candidate's name or, again, no confidence. And John and I will go around and collect that.
That's right.
C-L-C-A-L
Her last name is.
Esther. Do you have extra?
I did. I had an election.
My backpack is so black. I have a fringy thing.
Oh, yeah.
Purple and cute.
That worked.
All right, you may proceed to the podium. And congratulations, Callie Pospischel. Did I get that right?
Just sound it out. It's Pospischel.
Pospischel.
Yes.
Pospischel. All right. Congratulations, you are our next at-large senator. Raise your right hand in oath-like fashion and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Callie Pospischel,
Will represent and serve
will represent and serve
the students of Minnesota State University Mankato
the students of Minnesota State University Mankato
in student life and academic need,
in student life and academic need,
and will uphold the mission, Constitution, and bylaws
of
the student government.
I
so affirm. You may take a seat. All right. That is our vacancy election. We will now move into announcements. President Cronin.
One thing I forgot to mention during my report is that there is a call for a student on a search committee for a recruitment and retention advisor. So this is a position out of the OASIS office. That committee is hoping to meet by April 1st. So if you are interested in serving on that search, please let me know because we do need one student to serve on it. As well, the newly elected senator can meet after this for some little intro.
Okay.
Any other announcements? Senator Chaiti.
It's a short, real quick. On behalf of David Cohn, he just passed around the key. It's a new bus locator app, and he is giving out to all the students, whoever is riding to bus, he give it to a bus driver, and they are providing student. That's it. Thank you.
Senator Dalk.
Like Kevin Beisman said, basketball game tonight, 6 p.m. Obviously, we're a little bit past that, but it goes on until about 7:30. We win or we go home, basically. So if you guys aren't doing anything after this, meetings get done early, go cheer on the Mavericks.
John.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm just going to reiterate what I said for the rest of the meeting, okay? We've got no meeting next week. 2 weeks from today is the biggest, most important meeting that you will have this year, okay? Or at least the one that requires most preparation from you. So, that being said, review the numbers that have been presented to you. Talk amongst each other. If you've got questions for departments, don't be afraid to ask them. Contact them. Their information is in the binder of the information that's been shared electronically with you. And then also, because the notification needs to go out to the department by Friday, if they're going to be requested at the fee hearing, email Amber by tomorrow and Speaker Pesquo, by tomorrow, if there is somebody who you have an in-depth question for that needs to be brought before the entire Senate, okay? Very, very, very important so that they can be prepared for that budget hearing, okay?
Senator Hoysack.
Do the people who request for this funding, do they see this already? Like, will they be able to come into Teresa or not?
Yes, so they received this stuff the morning after you did, and they were notified that if they would like to appeal the recommendation, to notify Teresa Schwartz, and Teresa will get those to the speaker, and we'll have an agenda for that consideration.
Mark Constantine.
Yeah, I just wanted to wish everybody a great spring break. We've had a good half of the semester, and we hope everybody enjoys a little time off. Hopefully you can relax a little bit. I do wear a little bit my dad cap when I talk about this a teeny bit. If you're going anywhere and you're enjoying yourself, enjoy it safely, have a good time, and have a great time. But make sure that we want to make sure we see you back here after spring break in one piece overall. So have a great break. We've had a great semester, and as John says, important stuff for the budget. So take it serious. We'll go from there. Thank you all.
Any additional announcements? All right, seeing none, we are going to waive the roll call for today since we are over time, and with that, we will now adjourn. Time is 6:11.
Right to the room, academic affairs. We have someone waiting on us.
I'm just texting you right now if you get it.